Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Ross Quit. Today, I am bringing you my thoughts on the last month's Comic Bento, which was all about numbers. Um, I'm going to go from my least favorite to my favorite. Not that saying that the least favorite is bad, it's just not my favorite, and definitely in comparison to the others. My least favorite of the month was Letter 44. Interesting story. Uh, Pretty much it's the transition between the 43rd and the 44th president, and the 43rd president has a massive secret that he hasn't disclosed to anyone. So it's a science fiction. It's a science fiction adventure drama, political drama. So if that kind of sounds like something you'd be interested in, I would actually recommend trying it out. I'm interested in seeing how the story continues, but out of the four that came last month, this was my least favorite. So moving on. The surprise is which one was actually my favorite, because if you remember which ones came last month, my second favorite, I'm actually going to have to say, my second and third were tie. I actually really liked both of these, the Gotham by Midnight and the Marvel 1872. Um, this one had an art style that I kind of thought was perfect for it. It reminded me of the animation style, The Darkest Dungeon, which is interesting because this is a Gotham police precinct that deals with supernatural and like occult phenomenon. So it really kind of fit the theme of what this was. And then Marvel Warzone's 1872. It's a secondary story or a side story to like what if the characters from Marvel were from like a western from the 1872. So the sheriff is Steve Rogers. The blacksmith slash tinker is Tony Stark. But it just kind of goes through all these changes, and it's just really amazing how they incorporated all the characters. Art style was really clean, really fluid. I loved it a lot. It kind of fit the theme for it. But surprising, the comic that surprised me with how good it was, and I loved reading it every second, was the Baker Street 4, which was this month's Comic Bento exclusive. It's a story of street urchins from the 1800s who are like the runners for Sherlock Holmes, but each one has a different characteristic. Like one's the thug. He's the one that's kind of more prominent to being able to scrap in a fight. One's the intellectual, and then one's the charmer. But the story was just so engaging, and you kind of fell in love with all three, and you wanted them to win. And then at the end, you see Sherlock Holmes, and his praise is always so genuine with what they do. Yeah, so if there's any way to find this, I highly recommend reading the Baker Street 4. I just loved it. I adored this. The art style was very nice. It dealt with issues that were very prominent at the time, and also in certain parts of the world, still prominent now. But next, I have this month's Comic Bento, and I actually got, even though it's four series, I have five comic trades. So the Comic Bento exclusive, excuse me, by Aspen Comics is Dead Man's Run. I have no idea what this is about. Let's see, it's the producer of The Walking Dead. Greg Pak does the art, so that's really good. Oh wait, no, the writer is Greg Pak. Excuse me. The artist is Tony Parker. I'm interested. I had nothing about this because it's an exclusive, so it's not one of the mainstream comics. So we'll have to see. It kind of looks like it might have to do with vampires. Excuse me. It kind of looks like it has to do with vampires, but I'm not sure. Next up, we have Green Lantern Origins, Secret Origins. So I guess it's just a like reimagining of the classic origin of Hal Jordan becoming the Green Lantern and such as that. Yep, I'm just looking through and that looks like what it is. Still, Geoff Johns, Ivan Reyes. I have never seen a bad comic by that combination. So really interested in seeing that. The comic that I have two issues of, and I'm excited because it's one of my favorite authors. I have The Twilight Zone by Michael Straczynski. He's the writer of one of my favorite Thor comics. If you know which one I'm talking about, congratulations. But I have two issues of the two comic trades of this, and I'm excited to see how these go. Who does the art for this? Never heard of you. Huh. Wait, no, Francesco Francavilla. I think I have heard of them. And then what could be the cream of the crop, so to speak, unless one of these really turns my head. We have the Avengers. Which volume is this? I don't think it has a volume. It's Ultimate Comic Avengers. It's Blade versus the Avengers. So it's going to be superheroes versus vampires. So this could be very fun, very interesting. But once again, excuse me, I have not read it. I'm very interested in seeing how each of these go. If there's one out of these 4 series that you're really interested in, let me know. I can do a quick read of those and come back to you on another video. Otherwise, thanks for joining me for another episode of the Comic Bento series, and I hope to see you all in the next episode. See you later, everybody.